The Queen Mother was a true guardian of royal heirlooms. Her jewelry collection included dozens of magnificent diamond, pearl, and colored gemstone pieces. After her death in 2002, most of these jewels were inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, while some soon began appearing on Camilla when she was still the Duchess of Cornwall. Today, as Queen, Camilla continues to wear these jewels, pairing them with evening gowns, formal suits, and even casual outfits. Which of the Queen Mother's jewels have become an essential part of her jewelry wardrobe? Which ones do we see her wearing most often? Let's take a look inside Queen Camilla's jewelry box and discover which historic treasures continue their story with their new wearer. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. We begin our review with one of the most intriguing pieces now adorning Camilla's hand. Her engagement ring, a gift from King Charles III that carries the memory of the Queen Mother. When Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles announced their engagement in February 2005, the press immediately focused on the elegant Art Deco ring. Its central stone is an 8-carat emerald-cut diamond, flanked by 6 baguette-cut diamonds. This ring is not a modern creation, but a piece of history. It belonged to the Queen Mother, the mother of Elizabeth II and Charles's beloved grandmother. We can spot it on her hand in archival photos from the 1970s and 1980s. Not frequently, but enough to understand that it was one of the pieces she cherished. Its exact origins remain unknown, but one theory suggests it was part of the inheritance from Margaret Greville, the society lady whose trove of jewels enriched the royal collection in 1942. King Charles inherited the ring after his grandmother's passing in 2002. He had been incredibly close to her throughout his life, making it a touching choice to use one of her jewels for his marriage proposal. Now the ring accompanies Camilla at all official engagements, remaining one of the most iconic pieces in her collection. And this is just the first chapter of our story. There's much more to come. Now, let's turn to another fascinating treasure that also once belonged to the Queen Mother, an exquisite brooch featuring diamonds, carved rock crystal, and black enamel. This jewel dates back to the 1920s, the Art Deco era, when jewelers experimented with new materials and bold designs. The brooch, executed in cool tones, is a reflection of that period's style. It combines the transparency of rock crystal, the play of light on diamonds, and striking dark accents. The Queen Mother wore it even before she assumed that title, during her years as the Duchess of York. One of the most famous photographs from that time captures her wearing it during the 1927 royal tour of Australia. The brooch was pinned to the edge of her elegant hat. In the following years, it appeared less frequently, but it is clear that she valued this piece. Camilla began wearing this brooch from the early days of her royal marriage. In September 2023, during the state visit to Paris, she made a clear fashion tribute to the late Queen Mother by choosing a white outfit reminiscent of the famous white wardrobe of 1938, and she completed the look with this very brooch. But that was not the only occasion. The brooch accompanied Camilla during her first audience as Queen Consort, as well as at the Royal Maundy service at York Minster in April 2023. It is safe to say that this jewel has now become one of her signature pieces. This is far from the only brooch from the Queen Mother's collection that Camilla wears. The next jewel is linked not only to royal elegance, but also to one of the royal family's most cherished traditions, holidays in Scotland. It is the Pearl of the Dee brooch, one of the most unusual pieces ever owned by the Queen Mother. This brooch, shaped like a salmon fly, a type of artificial fishing lure, was created in 1999 for her 100th birthday. For the Queen Mother, who adored fishing in Aberdeenshire, particularly on the River Dee, this gift was deeply symbolic. Commissioned by the Association of Salmon and Trout Waters, it was crafted by British jeweler Rachel Jeffrey using 18-karat gold, diamonds, and colored gemstones. At the center of the brooch is a grayish-blue pearl, while its body is encrusted with sapphires, rubies, and emeralds, mirroring the Queen Mother's racing colors. The wings are adorned with diamonds, and the gold tail resembles an inverted crown. Although its owner likely cherished the gift, she never wore the brooch publicly. However, a few years after her death in 2002, the brooch began appearing on Camilla. In 2005, the future queen wore it for the first time in an official portrait taken at Burke Hall, and later, she pinned it to the lapel of her jacket for her first official engagement in Scotland. That outing was memorable not only for the brooch's debut, but also for an amusing detail. Camilla wore it upside down. The designer of the piece later noticed this and clarified that the brooch was intended to be worn with the fly's tail pointing downward. Camilla quickly corrected the mistake, and by the following year at the Braemar Games, the brooch appeared on her in its proper orientation. Over time, the brooch disappeared from public appearances. Perhaps it will make a return at future Scottish events. Among the Queen Mother's brooches now worn by Camilla are both symbolic gifts and pieces with long histories. One such piece is the James Bow brooch, an elegant diamond bow that accompanied the Queen Mother for most of her life. This delicate accessory entered her collection in 1923 as a wedding gift from one of her godmothers, Mary Venetia James. Born Venetia Cavendish Bentinck, she was a cousin of the Countess of Strathmore, Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon's mother. Venetia married the well-known racehorse owner Arthur James, and their shared passion for horse racing brought them into the close circle of King Edward VII. It is believed that it was within this circle that she met the future Queen Mother and developed a particular fondness for her. Venetia was generous with gifts to her goddaughter. In addition to the diamond brooch, her 1948 will listed 2 other jewels she left to Elizabeth: a gold chain with diamond pendants set with rubies, and a large diamond brooch in a Japanese-inspired design. However, the James Bow brooch became one of the Queen Mother's favorite brooches. She wore it for decades, and even at the age of 98, appeared in public with it during her visit to the Royal British Legion's Field of Remembrance in London in November 1998. Camilla first wore the brooch at the Remembrance Day service at the cenotaph, continuing the tradition of using this piece for solemn and commemorative occasions. In the following years, Camilla most often paired it with dark clothing, though there were exceptions. During her visit to Pakistan in 2006, she pinned it to a brightly patterned jacket, and earlier that same year, she chose the brooch for a memorial service in honor of her late father, Bruce Shand. Among the Queen Mother's many brooches, a special place belongs to a diamond and emerald brooch in a modern floral design. Throughout her life, Elizabeth wore it frequently, and now the piece continues its story with Camilla. At the center of the composition is a large faceted emerald, surrounded by diamonds forming an elegant floral motif. Dangling below is a pear-shaped diamond pendant, connected to the main element by a diamond chain. The exact origins of the brooch remain a mystery. Some suggest it could be part of the Greville inheritance, the legendary collection of jewels bequeathed to the Queen Mother in 1942 by the wealthy society lady Margaret Greville. However, there is no definitive confirmation of this theory. Regardless of its provenance, the brooch became one of the Queen Mother's most frequently worn pieces in the final decades of her life. She regularly paired it with outfits in shades of purple, green, and pink, creating striking contrasts. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, the brooch, like all her jewels, was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II. Eventually, it was passed to Camilla for long-term use, and by 2007, the brooch made its debut on her during the opening ceremony of the Armed Forces Memorial in Lichfield. Among the many brooches from the Queen Mother's collection that Camilla wears, one stands out as a particularly elegant piece of Art Deco jewelry, a citrine and diamond clip brooch, crafted in the distinctive geometric style of the 1930s. This warm, golden-brown gemstone is rarely seen in royal jewelry collections. The exact origins of the brooch remain unknown, but it is speculated that it was created by Cartier in the 1930s. During this period, Cartier London actively produced jewelry featuring similar combinations of diamonds and citrines, or topazes, and one of its major clients was King George VI. Among the comparable pieces made at the time were a tiara, a bracelet, and several other brooches with a similar geometry and color palette. The first known appearance of the brooch on the Queen Mother dates to March 1938, when she and King George VI visited the Battersea and Wandsworth districts to meet families living in challenging conditions. Although this piece did not become one of the Queen Mother's most frequently worn brooches, it remained in her collection until the end of her life. The brooch was first seen on Camilla in 2007 during the Trooping the Color celebrations, where she pinned it to a lemon-colored jacket, pairing it with pearls. She continued to wear the brooch during the autumn season for a few more years, but the last known occasion was in November 2009 during her visit to Canada. Since then, the brooch has not been seen in public. Perhaps it will return to her rotation, as its warm color and style make it a perfect choice for autumn, especially for commemorative events in November. Among the jewels passed down to Camilla from the Queen Mother's collection are not only elegant diamond brooches and historically significant pieces, but also true diplomatic relics. The Lily of the Valley brooch by Fabergé is one of the most unusual and intriguing gifts ever received by the British royal family in the 20th century. This brooch, designed as a delicate sprig of lily of the valley, was created by Fabergé and presented to the Queen Mother by Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev during his official visit to the United Kingdom in April 1956. Khrushchev arrived alongside Soviet Premier Nikolai Bulganin, and as part of a diplomatic exchange, both sides presented gifts to one another. Among these were jewels for the three leading women of the Windsor dynasty: the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth II, and Princess Margaret. However, the fate of such diplomatic gifts is often complicated. Their public appearances are regulated by specific protocols, and depending on political circumstances, such pieces can disappear into royal archives for extended periods. There is no confirmed instance of the Queen Mother ever wearing this brooch publicly, which is unsurprising given the tense relations between Britain and the Soviet Union at the time. Over the years, however, the political weight of such items has faded, and today the brooch is regarded more as a decorative jewel than a diplomatic token. When the Lily of the Valley brooch found its way into Camilla's collection, it became one of her most beloved and frequently worn pieces. She first appeared wearing this brooch at her daughter Laura's wedding in 2006, making it a particularly symbolic choice. In the Victorian language of flowers, Lily of the Valley represents marital happiness, adding an extra layer of sentiment to the touching family occasion. In the following years, the brooch frequently accompanied Camilla on international trips and official engagements. So what do you think of this brooch? Do you find its delicate floral design appealing? Do you think it is appropriate to wear such pieces today, or should they remain in the archives? Among the Queen Mother's brooches passed on to Camilla are also pieces that carry profound symbolism tied to British history. One such piece is the diamond thistle brooch, representing Scotland's national emblem. The Queen Mother wore this brooch for decades, and it was especially often seen pinned to her hats. One of its most famous appearances dates to May 1944, when she visited airborne troops before the Normandy landings. At the time, the brooch complemented her classic outfit, but its meaning ran much deeper. The thistle, known for its resilience, symbolized not only Scotland, but also the indomitable British spirit during World War II. Camilla debuted this brooch in 2015 during her visit to New Zealand, and it has since appeared repeatedly at Scottish-related events. She wore it at the opening of the Scottish Parliament in 2021, during the farewell ceremony for Queen Elizabeth II in Edinburgh in 2022, and again for Holyrood Week in both 2023 and 2024. The Courtauld Thompson scallop shell brooch, also known as the shell brooch, is one of the most elegant and unique pieces from the Queen Mother's collection, which has recently been seen on Camilla. This brooch was created in 1919 by the London jewelry firm Goldsmiths and Silversmiths Company and was partially designed by Sir Courtauld Thompson, the son of a renowned Scottish inventor. After Thompson's death, the jewel passed to his sister, the writer Winifred Hope Thompson, who gifted it to the Queen Mother in 1944 as a mark of respect and deep appreciation. The brooch features a diamond-encrusted scallop shell adorned with a large, round pearl at its center. 5 strands of diamonds cascade from its base, creating a shimmering waterfall effect. Thanks to its refinement and exquisite design, the brooch quickly became one of the Queen Mother's favorite jewels. She wore it for decades, including during her 100th birthday celebrations in 2000. After her passing, the brooch was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, for whom it also became an important part of her jewelry wardrobe. The Queen wore it at Royal Ascot in 2008, at the unveiling of the Queen Mother's Memorial in London in 2009, and at the 2012 service commemorating the 10th anniversary of the Queen Mother's and Princess Margaret's passing. The last time the brooch was seen on Queen Elizabeth II was in 2020, when she chose it for her traditional Christmas broadcast. Following Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022, the brooch passed to her son, King Charles III. His wife, Queen Camilla, first wore it at Royal Ascot in June of the following year, perfectly complementing her Cream Dior ensemble and Philip Treacy hat. Since then, Camilla has continued to wear the brooch on multiple occasions. The 3-strand pearl necklace with an Art Deco diamond clasp, once belonging to the Queen Mother, has become one of Camilla's favorite pieces. She first wore it in 2006, initially at a birthday reception for the Queen in New Delhi, then during a visit to Egypt, and a year later in Cardiff. Unlike the Queen Mother, Camilla often wears the necklace with the clasp visible, emphasizing its elegant design. Over the years, the necklace has become an integral part of her looks at official events. In 2020, she chose it for a meeting with Emmanuel Macron in London, giving the occasion added symbolism. The meeting marked the 80th anniversary of Charles de Gaulle's speech, and during World War II, the Queen Mother played a vital role in boosting British morale. Continuing our exploration, we move on to another piece with a rich history, the Queen Mother's Amethyst sautoir necklace. Its story begins in 1923, when Queen Alexandra gifted it to her future daughter-in-law, Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, in honor of her wedding to Prince Albert, the future King George VI. The necklace featured a long chain of pearl and diamond accents, ending with a heart-shaped amethyst pendant surrounded by diamonds. Queen Alexandra was known for her love of amethysts and frequently wore them. After her passing in 1925, Elizabeth chose this gift as a mourning jewel, paying tribute to her late mother-in-law. Over time, the necklace fell out of fashion and remained unseen in public until the 21st century. However, nearly 90 years later, after the Queen Mother's passing, it found its way to Camilla and underwent slight modifications. The necklace was shortened to a more practical length while retaining its original elements. Its public debut in the updated form took place in 2012, when Camilla wore it to the London premiere of Skyfall. That evening, the necklace complemented her diamond and amethyst earrings, with the deep purple hue standing out against her dark gown. Moving on to the next jewels, we cannot overlook the luxurious set of Cartier bracelets that Queen Camilla has only recently begun to wear. These 5 Art Deco bracelets were gifted by the Duke of York to his wife Elizabeth between 1923 and 1925, first individually for birthdays and Christmas, and later a special frame was added, allowing 3 of the bracelets to be worn as an elegant bandeau. The set includes 2 diamond bracelets and 3 featuring gemstones, rubies, emeralds, and sapphires. The Queen Mother loved wearing all 5 bracelets together, creating a striking combination. However, the bandeau remained in her collection until the late 1930s. At the time, such headpieces were at the height of fashion, but as styles changed, they became less common. And after Elizabeth ascended the throne, the bandeau was no longer seen in public. Eventually, the bracelets passed to Queen Elizabeth II, who wore them more sparingly, either individually or in pairs. After her passing, the bracelets came into the possession of King Charles III, and Camilla has gradually begun incorporating them into her jewelry rotation. The first to make an appearance in 2024 was the emerald bracelet, which she wore to a literary evening dedicated to Shakespeare. Shortly after, she debuted the ruby bracelet at the state banquet in honor of the Emir of Qatar in December of the same year. Most recently, at an event in Highgrove, she showcased two bracelets at once, the diamond and sapphire bracelets. Gradually, we transition to more iconic and striking jewels, and one such piece is the magnificent diamond necklace known as the Coronation Riviere. This elegant strand of 40 antique diamonds, believed to have been created in the mid-19th century, was a gift from King George VI to his wife ahead of their coronation in 1937. The piece was one of several diamond rivieres owned by the Queen Mother. In addition to this necklace, she also possessed the Duchess of York's collet necklace, acquired in the 1920s, as well as the Coronation necklace, the most significant of the royal rivieres. Queen Elizabeth wore the Coronation Riviere not only on her coronation day, but for many years afterward, often pairing it with other diamond necklaces. At her daughter's coronation in 1953, she complemented her look with this Riviere alongside the longer Duchess of Teck necklace. In the early years of her widowhood, the Coronation Riviere remained one of her key pieces, though after the 1960s, it was seen less frequently. Following the Queen Mother's passing in 2002, the necklace was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II. It was later displayed at the White Wardrobe exhibition at Buckingham Palace before being passed to Camilla, who began wearing it in the 2000s. For ease of wear, the necklace was shortened to 31 diamonds. In recent years, the Coronation Riviere has not been publicly seen, but perhaps we will see it make a return in the near future. Moving forward, we come to one of the most grand and impressive diamond pieces in the Queen Mother's collection, the Greville festoon necklace. This diamond necklace, created by Cartier in 1929 and later expanded in 1938, became part of the legendary Greville inheritance. Originally composed of 2 rows of diamonds, it was later extended to 5, giving it a truly regal presence. The Queen Mother wore this piece in its full form only for the most formal occasions, preferring to use the more compact 3-row version more frequently. After her passing, the necklace was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, but was never seen on her. Instead, it was loaned to Camilla, who debuted it in 2007 at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting banquet in Uganda. Since then, Camilla has worn it several times. What do you think of this necklace? Do you consider it one of the most spectacular pieces in the royal collection, or is it simply too massive? To conclude our overview, we turn to the Greville Tiara, a signature piece that has become an essential part of Camilla's evening attire. Created by Boucheron in 1921, this tiara is distinguished by its unique honeycomb design, where diamonds are set within platinum latticework, creating a light yet striking structure. Initially, the tiara was shorter, but in 1953, the Queen Mother commissioned a modification. Cartier added several larger diamonds, including an impressive 8.5-carat Marquise diamond that she had received as a gift during a visit to South Africa. For the Queen Mother, the Greville Tiara was one of her most important evening tiaras, worn for decades and often paired with substantial diamond necklaces. Her final recorded appearance wearing it at an official event was in 1998. After her passing, the tiara was inherited by Queen Elizabeth II, though she never wore it herself. Instead, the piece was loaned to Camilla, who first appeared in it at a state banquet in honor of the President of Brazil in 2006. Since then, the Greville tiara has become firmly associated with Camilla, worn at diplomatic receptions, royal visits, and banquets, including Commonwealth meetings and formal dinners with foreign monarchs. In 2023, she chose this piece for her first state banquet as queen during the royal visit to Germany, pairing it with the City of London fringe necklace. That's all for today. We've explored the most iconic jewels from the Queen Mother's collection that are now worn by Camilla. Which of these pieces is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future videos on royal jewels. See you next time!